Hello, hope y'all are doing well. It's February 19th. Today I'm going to be talking about, once again, quite a bit of things I'm going to be talking about. A pretty significant winter storm across areas in the northern plains, the Midwest, all the way into the Northeast. Could be looking at, many areas. A very large amount of the country could be looking at some pretty significant snowfall amounts, and we could also be looking at some pretty, like an ice storm in some areas. So we're going to be talking about that. Then we're going to be talking about severe weather because there is of course a severe weather side of this. Then we're just going to be talking about the pretty much the record heat and the record cold that we're going to be looking at later this week. I hope you are all doing very well. It's Sunday, yeah, it's Sunday. But let's go ahead and get started. So this is Monday morning. We have a little bit of a clipper system kind of affecting areas of northern Minnesota, northern central Minnesota, a little bit like North Dakota with a little bit of snowfall. We can see more snowfall over west as you go into areas of Montana, Wyoming. And as we go throughout the day Monday, that snow does continue to move through areas of northern Minnesota, maybe bringing a little bit of accumulations to some areas all the way into Wisconsin as well. But then as we get into like Monday night into early Tuesday morning, we start to see stuff like our actual systems starting to move in. We can see some snow moving in across eastern Montana, starting to move into North Dakota and western South Dakota. And as we go into Tuesday afternoon, that snow band does continue to move east. By about noon, we're looking at snow for a good portion of northern South Dakota, beginning to move into Minnesota with some lighter snow. And this would just start off by being some light to moderate snow across most of like central Minnesota, Minneapolis area, up north towards like the St. Cloud area and over into Wisconsin. This is not going to be the biggest threat. I mean, we're going to start off by seeing some snowfall with that, but if we go to like total snowfall 1 hour, I mean 1 hour accumulations are fairly light, like 0.3 inches in most areas in those heavier bands. So definitely not like blinding snow. I mean, with that you do see a couple of inches of snow already though, but with that clipper, look at the snowfall from the first system though. Tomorrow, I mean, some areas picking up 7-8 inches of snow, maybe even up to 9. But then further south, we can see that snow does accumulate pretty good. I mean, already got 2 inches on the ground by Tuesday evening, 2 additional inches in Minneapolis. So that's not bad for sure. But yeah, what is that? Okay. So yeah, we have that, and then switch models. So now we're gonna go over to the NAM. Okay, so starting off Tuesday evening, you can see that first band. The NAM's a little heavier with that actually. Go to winter total. So this is 3 hour accumulations. We're looking at about 2 inches of snow in a couple 3 hours. So I mean that's pretty heavy. But we can see nothing. I mean, like Tuesday night until Wednesday, we could be looking at a little bit of a quiet period across Minnesota, eastern South Dakota. But then we see that more snow coming in. This is 9 a.m. Wednesday. We're looking at pretty good snowfall across areas of the Nebraska, like the Panhandle of Nebraska, southwest South Dakota, and the Rapid City area, and down into northern Colorado. And then that continues to extend east. Wednesday evening, we're starting to see that move into southern Minnesota. And then it really just gets going Wednesday overnight. This is about midnight Wednesday night. Pretty decent, like a lot of snow coming down in Minneapolis, all of South Dakota. It's pretty much snowing in a large portion in North Dakota, even into Montana, Nebraska. But then that sleet line does get into Minnesota. So that especially the southeastern tip, this area of Minnesota here does have the potential to kind of switch over to some sleet or even freezing rain. And we can see could be looking at a little bit of an ice event across Iowa, although it's not going to be as significant as what we're going to look at further east. But we're already starting to see that impacts with ice. So yeah, this is what the GFS says. The GFS is a little further south, but very similar. By Thursday morning, we can see how low is just starting to just dumping snow across this area here. Definitely going to be looking at some significant accumulations. Even, I mean, in all these places, we're going to be seeing that. I think right here, we have the potential to see just a ton of snow from this. You can see it continues all the way up into Minneapolis, and then pretty much is out by Thursday evening from most of the area. Just some snow showers left behind. Total snowfall on this run of the GFS is a lot, as you can see. Many areas getting more. I mean, most areas, like all of South Dakota, gets more than a foot. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore this tip right here. Okay, we're not gonna talk about that, but all of South Dakota gets a foot of snow. I mean, I've never seen like an entire like this is a big state too. So this isn't like Rhode Island or some tiny state. This is a massive state. Uh, but just like look at this swath of 2 feet of snow. We go over to the European, and it's fairly similar. Well, it doesn't go out far like as far as it needed to, but look at that, 30 inches right over Minneapolis. So we'll definitely see. But right now it looks like this area here is just gonna get slammed with snow. But I mean, even outside of that, look at all the snow outside of that. So many areas getting like a foot to a foot and a half of snow, all the way up to from Bismarck down into like the northern Nebraska. Just snow everywhere from this. I mean, like let's just take a look at the whole central U.S. Look at this. Well, look at all the snow. I mean, Wyoming is just has a ton of snow. So does Montana, western Colorado. This is just insane. And you're gonna see it continues all the way over in the Michigan and areas of Canada as well. Further east, we can see in the Wisconsin that snow moves in. By like late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we see some snow moving in. Nothing significant, but then the significant stuff comes in Wednesday afternoon and the Wednesday evening. With what it looks like right now is we're going to see a lot of freezing rain setting up across this area here. Maybe like right over Chicago, which would not be very good. But then right to the north, we're just seeing a lot of snow from this. So that first system is out, and then we don't really see much of a break. But then we see more snow a little further north with that second system there. That sleet line gets all the way up in the northern Michigan. That's kind of new. That wasn't there yesterday, I don't think. Actually, it was. That's my bad. Yeah, if anything, it looks a little. It's pretty much stayed the same. But yeah, so total snowfall accumulations in this area are fairly high as well. We're going to be looking at, I mean, across much of central and northern Wisconsin, more than a foot of snow. Much of northern Michigan and central Michigan, more than like 6 to 8 inches, maybe up to a foot in many areas. Most of the UP and Michigan getting a foot, maybe even 2 feet according to the GFS. Back to the European, we can see very similar situation here. See, on the total, like ice is kind of interesting though, because so freezing rain accumulations on the European here. We can see we have just like up to a quarter, maybe 4/10 of an inch of ice across areas of Iowa. I mean, all the way over in like western Iowa through central Iowa into eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and this area of southern Michigan. All of southern Michigan just gets slammed with ice. Like over an inch of ice, and when you're like 1.5 inches of freezing rain in some areas. We go over to the GFS just for a little, see if it's similar. And yeah, I mean, we see that it's a little further south too. I mean, but look at that, like right over the same area, dude. It's so consistent between, like, it's the same practically between both models, which is pretty weird. But yeah, I think we're definitely gonna be looking at a pretty significant ice storm in store for these areas here, and even over in the northern Illinois. Hopefully not in the Chicago area, but it'll probably be in the Chicago area, because we go back to the 12Z European, and it's like right in the like not like downtown Chicago. If it's not in affecting downtown Chicago, it'll affect like the metro area pretty significantly as well. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Now over to the Northeast. Okay, the Northeast is the next area being affected by this. So Wednesday evening we see a little bit of a onset of precip. We start off as freezing rain in PA, which eventually just does kind of shift north into New York. But a very significant ice storm for many areas of New York and PA, and a very significant winter storm as well for areas in New York. Total snowfall accumulations across the across the Northeast. And we're looking at a large amount, like a foot in a lot of areas in northern New York, areas of Vermont, New Hampshire. Then into Maine, we can see like 6 to 8 inches and up to a foot as well. So significant winter storm in these areas too. But also ice. I think the ice threat will be pretty big in the Northeast as well. Many areas getting up to like 4/10 of an inch of ice, all the way up into New York. We can see areas getting near half an inch. But then, I mean, just a big area getting affected with this ice. The European model. This is the I don't think it goes out as far as we need it to, but it's actually starting to look very similar with that this area of PA getting in on some of the action, or like starting off, and then it's just a little further north with about a half inch, 4/10 of an inch, a half inch of ice, and like some of the higher areas of many areas getting like a 1/4 inch of ice. It kind of seems like what we could be looking at, and also there's like a little hot spot in western New York over here. So yeah, we'll see. Definitely going to be. I think this is going to be an impactful ice storm as well for many areas of the Northeast. But yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about is severe weather. Okay, so we're just looking at the whole picture here. We can see Wednesday. We have this with this system Wednesday evening. We have our low in Illinois, nice clear cold front kind of about right here. We have another system right behind this, but we're not really going to be seeing any moisture return into this area. And then after this, once this system kind of pushes through, everything's just smashed. There's no more moisture or anything, as you can see right there. Well, there is. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But so yeah, Wednesday we're going to have a severe weather threat for sure. Wednesday looks to be the best day. We have SPC is a 15% out Wednesday from northeast Texas all the way up into southwestern Tennessee, Memphis, Little Rock, Shreveport. Yeah, I guess that's yeah. It's kind of all the major cities that are in that. Now over on a pivotal weather here, we can talk about this. So Wednesday morning, we can see we have our dew points in this, like in these blue colors. We have dew points in the 60s. You can see those reach pretty far north already. Already looking at a very big area for moisture. And then as we go into Wednesday afternoon, we can see that the front pushes east pretty quickly, and dews are mainly in the 60s still. So I want to switch sectors here actually to the Ohio Valley. Because we're looking at this area here, according to the SPC. But we're definitely going to see a severe weather threat outside of that, because we see that the GFSR low is, like, we have several lows, but it looks like our main one. We have one right here, and then we have a secondary front right here. So I don't know. Could we see anything kind of in that area there? This isn't really an impactful front, because we take a sounding right here, and okay, yeah, that's absolutely shit. Okay, my bad. Wait, that's absolutely terrible. My bad. I did not curse. I don't think I've ever actually cursed in one of these videos. That's my bad. But yeah, so Wednesday, yeah, we can see. Instability is meager. Very very low unless you get into like the further south areas. But I definitely think we'd see a damaging wind threat extend outside of this area for sure. Could be looking at that. 850 millibar winds. Yeah. We can see. That wind is right off the ground, like right up above. It's just going to be very short. It doesn't take much just to bring some of that to the ground and bring a pretty significant damaging wind threat. So even further north, even like if we don't see like much in regards to like tornado activity and stuff, we'll still be looking at that. Now talking about like the tornado side of things, because we could be looking at that. We're not going to go. I don't want to go too in detail with that, but take a sounding in Arkansas with this, and none of these soundings off the GFS are actually good, but that's just because the GFS is never the best model for actually forecasting severe weather. It does seem to indicate storms, although it's hard to tell because the GFS is like a mid to long range model. You don't use like reflectivity to actually look for storms in the GFS. But either way, even if I don't think we're gonna get a good sounding off the GFS, but we're definitely gonna have a severe weather threat Wednesday. I definitely think we'll have a tornado threat, especially as you go further south, kind of into this area here. I think further north we'd see mainly a damaging wind threat, because we have very strong winds, just a lot, and we're gonna be seeing some kind. I think we're gonna probably see a squalling further north, so that would help to bring that damaging wind threat into that area as well, all the way up into maybe like these areas here. Well, really this area, because this area is already in the risk. So yeah, now talking about record warmth because it's what we have to talk about now, and record cold. So this is Thursday afternoon. Okay, the same areas that are always cold, always below average, the same areas that continuously get below average temperatures are going to be below average once again. Yeah, the north central U.S. into Montana and areas of the west. Most of the west is going to be like well below average, but you can clearly see that this area right right here, and then the of course the southeast. It's just going to be above average. Same with the South Central U.S. And yeah, so I mean, we're definitely going to be looking at some records probably set. I mean, the cold doesn't even make it into the Southeast, which is just annoying because like you can see it does make it into the it does make it into the Northeast. Okay, Friday night we can see, oh look at that, yeah, some below average temperatures in the Northeast, and look at the Southeast. The Saturday afternoon we have the stupid cat event, which just has to bring. It's just gonna make it so we get cold rain in some areas probably. I mean, and then look at that, like after that, wow. But yeah, so definitely I think later this week we're gonna be seeing a lot of records set with record cold. So this is high temperatures Wednesday. So in areas where you see these boxes here, those are record max temperatures. So like highest temperatures like for the day. So like if the warmest temperature, like the warmest high temperature ever recorded in like Dallas on one day was 78, and the forecasted high temperature is 79, then you're going to see a box because you're forecasted to get above the record high temperature, therefore setting a new record. Then in the west, you can see these are record cold highs. So like if the coldest high ever on a certain day, and like let's say like Boise, Idaho was, I don't know, like 13, and you're supposed to get up to, and you're supposed to have a high of 12, and you're going to see a circle. So we can see we have a lot of circles across the west, a lot of records being set all the way across like the coast of California, even into interior areas, and then especially in this area we're going to be seeing many of them. But this area does see a lot of extreme cold events where you see a lot of like well below average temperatures, even though the temperatures are going to be so far below average. I mean, some areas aren't even setting records, which is pretty insane. But then much of the South will be setting records already Wednesday. We can see Atlanta expecting maybe potentially a record high, 80 degrees there forecasted. Across the Orlando area, many records. Down into, southern Texas, 89 there. But just consistent 80s across much of the South, even all the way up into this area here in Kentucky, mid 70s. On Thursday, it gets even worse. 89 forecast. I don't know where I think that's not Raleigh. I think Raleigh's supposed to get up to 86 or 85, but I don't think that area there is actually going to get that warm. I think that would be like absolutely insane if it did. I think it's going to be a little cooler, but we'll see what the national the individual National Weather Service there does, because that's kind of who makes this. Because like if we zoom in on the southeast, you can clearly see it that certain National Weather Service is going a little warmer than the surrounding ones. So hopefully they'll kind of, most of the models don't have that area being that hot, first of all. Even if you go like not like, I think the GFS is like that area being like the 70s or right around 80. So we'll see, but either way, we're going to see records set. But I mean, that would break the record in some of these areas, like 4 degrees. So the record warmest February day ever, I think in Raleigh's 84. And we definitely see that beaten if we got up to this. And I do think some areas are going to see their warmest February day ever. I mean, we just had in 2018, we had a lot of records. I mean, most records in the southeast are set in February 2018 for warmest days, for warmest temperatures ever in February. But it does seem like we could like set those again. So get rid of the 2018 record temperatures and replace them with higher ones. But yeah, Birmingham 85 on Thursday, Atlanta 82, Macon 84, over in South Carolina, Columbia's 86, and then down into like Central Florida, Orlando 91, and further southwest, I think it's Lakeland or something, I think it's 90. So I mean, it's just so warm. But then just right to the west, right to the northwest. If you go northwest and even northeast, we can see the northeast is cool. You do have very cold air. So it does kind of balance out. And then if I kind of seem to get a little angry about it, I mean that's just because I am. Because I mean I'm kind of honestly tired of living here. Because I don't understand. I know it's so. I just hate the weather. I mean we don't get winter anymore. I swear. But yeah. So this is Atlanta. This is the warmest. So the warmest like February temperature ever is 79, I think. Actually, let's go ahead and check that out real quick. So this is nice. This is a pretty cool site, which y'all can actually access. This is the warmest February temperature ever in Atlanta is 80, and that was set in 2019 and 1996. And I mean, Atlanta's expected to get up to 82, so we break that by about 2 degrees. Now Athens is 83 from 2018, so as a forecasted right now, it wouldn't break the warmest February temperature ever, which would be good. But Atlanta could potentially has a good shot at breaking down. No, another area I have pulled up here is Columbus. So Columbus is supposed to be like well above average. We can see that. Although Columbus isn't actually most likely won't break their warmest February temperature ever. There's a 78 from 2017 and then 77 in 2018 in second place there. And we can see they're forecasted to get up to 71. So I mean if we see a little bit of an uptrend temperature wise, maybe a little bit of this warmer air getting like further north, we could potentially see Columbus doing that as well. Oh yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all have an excellent day tomorrow. I'll probably be back on Tuesday. But yes, goodbye.